Yo, what's up guys, it's Jack and welcome back. And if you pay a little bit closer attention to the video, you will realize that, well, you're finally getting 60 frames per second. And for the longest time, ever since this YouTube channel has been alive, I've been uploading at 30, kind of unknowingly, and I thought it was kind of normal because I thought only the Elgato HD60 can upload at 60, but that's not exactly the case. The Elgato HD60 is the one that can upload at 1080p at 60 frames per second, and I didn't know that the original Elgato could upload at 60 frames per second at 720p, which is, I've always been doing 720p, but just not at 60 frames per second, and I had absolutely no idea that there was a step that I missed that kept this thing from happening because I'm such a noob, and that is I just forgot to basically change the resolution on my Xbox, and ever since I did that, I've been recording at 60 frames per second, so that's what you'll be getting from now on. So on to the topic of today's video. Now recently I've been back on the Halo grind. Now obviously Call of Duty is the main game that gets posted on this channel. I post a little bit of other things here and there, but Call of Duty is what it usually happens, and you already know my Call of Duty story. I've been playing it religiously for the last, I don't know, 6 to 7 years now. Probably 7 at this point, but went through a lot of changes. Used to be a noob, and now I can do much better. But the thing is, right now I'm starting to go through that transition with Halo, and I'm starting to feel it. And this is one of the first games where I started to feel it, and it kind of shows in the gameplay. And no matter what, I'm always going to be an aggressive player. But the biggest question that people always ask, or sometimes yeah, actually, it's a question that they always ask, and that is accuracy everything? Is being accurate everything? Now, the simple answer, I'm going to give an in-depth answer to this. The answer is no. The short answer is no, but it is a very big piece, like that part you just saw right there, that two-piece right there. If it wasn't for the accurate shots, I wouldn't have gotten away with that. So, with good accuracy, you can actually get away with doing more. That's one of the things that separates the pros from everybody else, especially if you watch the Halo tournament, the most recent one that ended, like, what was it, a few days ago or whatnot. I mean, there were amateurs that played as well, but one of the things that you noticed was that, you know, the pros, their shots are just so much more crisp. They're better at target acquisition and target accuracy and maintenance, and that's one of the things that separates them. And along with the fact that they're also veterans. And look at Optic Gaming, for instance. That is arguably the best team in Halo right now. Oh, and by the way, congratulations to Splice. They beat Optic Gaming. They got first place, so good for them. That's awesome. But for the most part, Optic Gaming is still said to be the best team overall. Because they've been winning the most tournaments, they've been very consistent, and let's not forget the kind of players that play on the team, right? I mean, every single one of them has an amazing shot. Like, granted, every single pro has an amazing shot, period. But these guys seem to be a step above. And then after that, once you combine everything else, like the decision-making, the teamwork, the call-outs, all these other things, then you turn into a completely different monster. But accuracy, the best way I can give you an in-depth answer, so that way you can compare it to something else, as far as accuracy is concerned, is it's like comparing relationships. Like, in what way, you may ask? Well, it's like comparing looks. Now, are looks everything? No, but they do. Let's be a little bit realistic. It does play a role. To some people, more of a greater role. To some people, a lesser role. But it does play a role. So it's a big chunk. So accuracy is a big part of it. And the thing is, afterwards, when you start to understand how the spawns work, when you understand your decision making, when you understand how to rush properly, or when to play defensively, and all these different things that come together, as well as playing the game over and over and over again, and understanding yourself and how you play as a player, and how to make yourself better, to work on your weaknesses, and balancing yourself out overall, everything is just going to kind of fit together and come together, and the next thing you know, you're going to be a completely different player than what you started out. But one of the things that definitely helps is accuracy. Now again, is it everything? No, but when it comes down to it, if you have somebody out there that's just as knowledgeable and just as smart as you and whatnot, well, it is going to boil down to accuracy and reaction, but not as much reaction in Halo as like a game like, let's say, Call of Duty or CSGO, for instance. But that accuracy really does make a difference. Like when you have games where the gunfights, they take a lot longer and the time to kill is a lot longer than a game like Call of Duty or any game like that, well, you know, that accuracy really will play a difference, because in the middle of the gunfight you have to be accurate and you have to confuse your opponent by basically doing something unexpected, like strafing and all these different things that play a role. So yes, accuracy is a big part of success, but no, it is not everything. It's something that could definitely be worked on with time. Now, playing the game by itself won't just make you isn't everything to make you more accurate. You have to understand how to shoot properly. Like, for instance, if you're only aiming with the right stick and you're not really using your left stick to strafe or even to assist with that aiming or whatnot, I mean, you're not doing it right. You have to learn how to aim properly and then repeat that properly. One of the biggest tips I've ever been given, well, not directly, but on a YouTube video. I follow, I watch Proximity or Cole, as he's also called, that's his name. One of the tips he gave for accuracy is no pegging. Try to avoid pegging at all costs. And for those of you that don't understand what pegging is when you push your stick from one side of the other, or at the very edge to where the stick won't go anymore, and you hear the sound. You hear the sound of your controller doing that. And if you avoid doing that, if you avoid pegging, if you move it without making it go all the way to the edge while aiming, I'm not talking about like when you're trying to get away or trying to turn around, but while aiming, it will actually help quite a bit. And don't forget, it's also about muscle memory. When you start doing something correctly, your body will adapt to it and it will get used to it, and you will end up doing that. Like, for instance, if you've never played Claw, I don't play Claw, but if you've never played Claw and if you're basically trying to get used to playing Claw, it's something that it's all muscle memory. So you're going to have to go through the trial and error. You're going to have to go through your trials and tribulations. You're going to go through a hard time because you're not going to be used to it at first. But when you do get used to it, it's going to make the biggest difference for you. And as you can see in this gameplay here, 2 of their teammates quit, and things kind of got a little shaky towards the end. But by the end of the match, I make up for it. And the guys on the other team actually almost won. It just goes to show you that sometimes, no matter how well you do, you're only one person, and you can only do so much. So teams thrive. No, I don't think that's a question of debate. So, but there's individuals, and then there's team players, and teams always thrive. So overall, accuracy is a big thing. But remember, for those of you guys that are trying to get better in any first-person shooter that you play, or you can even apply this philosophy in life, and that is, you can't just look at it from one point of view. You can't just look at it from one part. You have to look at everything else that comes with it. So it's about decision making, it's about knowledge, it's about experience, trial and error, and doing. And when you're trying to do something correctly, or when you're trying to learn how to do something better, you got to make sure that you're doing it right before you rinse and repeat. That's another thing. You have to do it correctly, because if you don't do it correctly, you're teaching yourself wrong, and you're never going to get better. Your improvements will be so minimal, for instance, if any, that they'll hardly be noticed. And that's basically how it works. So just keep that in mind. That's my personal biggest tip, is that make sure you apply correct technique, even if you're struggling, but just keep applying, and then you will adjust, and it will make the difference. For instance, this last week, while I've been on the Halo grind, before yesterday's when I started to feel the difference. I went through absolute hell. I was getting owned by people that I could tell that they don't play Halo that often. I'm not just judging them by their rank in the competitive mode here, but I'm judging them like by the way they're moving, the decisions that they're making, and I'm like, dang it, I'm losing to these guys, and I'm losing gunfights that I should be winning and all that. But I gave myself time. I knew what I had to do, and I stuck with it, because I went back to COD for a little while before I stopped playing some Halo as well. and I'm having a much better time. It's getting addictive. I don't want to put the 6 down. I just want to continue playing, and that's the reward. And a gameplay like this is a reward. Now, granted, there's gonna be even better gameplays, but this is one of the first that I got since I started recording correctly at 60 frames per second. And I wanted to post it because I wanted to make a video, and this is something that I wanted to talk about for a while, and I think it's something that once you apply yourself to that sort of philosophy, you can start to feel the difference and notice the difference. And that's why most people are not that good at games in general, because they either get frustrated or they're doing something wrong and they don't know it. And the thing is, thanks to YouTube, and as well as a person that truly wants it, a person that truly wants to learn and whatnot, they can apply themselves and use correct technique and turn themselves into a better player. But most people are still noobs because they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to go through the ringer, as I like to call it. They don't want to struggle, or they get they get really frustrated. But that's how you do it. You have to go through that before you start to really improve, and before you start to enjoy yourself even more with your success. So, and the same thing applies to life as well, because, well, realistically speaking, sometimes you just got to go through a lot of hardship before you finally start to reap the benefits and enjoy the benefits. And that's how it works sometimes. So anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say in this video. So I hope you enjoyed the better 60 frames per second quality. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. If there's any comments or anything down below, let me know. I made a video a while ago on how to improve at Halo instantly, because I have been looking up videos, and I basically looked up videos back then, and I dispensed all the most useful things into one video, made my own, and gave my own little input. But if there's anything more in terms of that you want me to put and make a part 2 to that, let me know down in the comments section, or any comments as always. And if you liked the video, let me know, and if you didn't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.